Hey there, I'm Lee Ullman here with some big news from the National Young Farmers Coalition. We're partnering with Heritage Radio Network on a special season of The Farm Report. It's all about what's happening with the Farm Bill and how it impacts farmers and eaters.
I am growing diversified vegetables on land that's been in our family for 150 years.
And so with the pandemic, gentrification, property values going up, we had to sell the land and we lost it.
Join us as we uncover the untold stories behind this massive piece of legislation that shapes how we grow our food, what we eat, and so much more.
The problems we have had, those are things that come from earlier Farm Bill and USDA policy, right? Like Earl Butz, get big or get out.
You know, it's my responsibility to know not only what I'm eating, but then like how that all came to be. And realize like, wow, like this piece of legislation, all this money, like it's technically something that I support as a taxpayer.
While Congress debates the next Farm Bill, this is not just an invitation to listen. It's a call to action. Be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Farm Report on Heritage Radio Network, wherever you listen to podcasts.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network. With more than 30 weekly podcasts, HRN has something for every food and drink lover. Learn more at heritageradionetwork.org.
This episode is brought to you by Diageo Bar Academy. Learn more at diageobaracademy.com. That's DIAGEO baracademy.com.
So you don't shun the devil with your rock and roll load. Knows that country music's gonna save your soul. The devil finds his groove in them rhythm and blues that sing. It's gonna get you some in the end.
Welcome back to the Speakeasy. I'm Damon Bolte.
I'm Souther Teague.
And I'm Greg Benson.
Happy
What's up,
holidays.
gentlemen? Happy freaking holidays. It is
Happy alcoholidays.
I was going to say it's holiday side hustle season, but I have a pretty good idea of what Souther's going to say when I ask, what are you side hustling on these days?
I mean, you know, it's that time of year, so I dropped another bitters. It's called Garden Party. It's cucumber, basil, and ginger. I got 1,000 bottles of it that I'm hand numbering and autographing as they ship them out the door, and they're available through the links on all of my social media and even on the Speakeasy podcast Instagram. So you know, I'm flying through those. It happens every year, and it's great.
Nice.
Do you guys find that it's just like that something about transitioning from like, okay, like Thanksgiving's over, the leftovers are all done, I've had my last turkey sandwich. It's like now all of a sudden it's like, okay, now all that stuff that I'd sort of been like, I'll deal with it later, like all of the like extra money making schemes that you've come up, all your get rich quick schemes for the holidays are like, oh shit, now I got to actually like put that into gear and do it.
Yeah. It's a lot, you know, like, and also my little book comes out every year at this time. I've got a book called Let's Get Blitz, and it's holiday cocktails, and you know, it gets re-released every Christmas time. So that's also on my website. It's just, I don't know, it's great. I love that people are interested, and I love that people, you know, still get into it. But you're right. It's like, this is already a very busy time of year, and then you tack on these things that you kind of have to do to make, you know, the world, your financial world come together. It's like, this is my holiday bonus, but I have to work really hard for it.
Exactly.
It's not just a given.
Yeah. How about you, Greg?
I'm teaching a class with Uncommon Experiences, which is an offshoot of Uncommon Goods, basically Etsy, but it doesn't suck. And I'm doing a couple classes on the history of the Bloody Mary and the history of Irish coffee. So kind of like teaching about like where brunch drinks came from, how they got to their current forms, crucially how to make and enjoy them. And it's in concert with another little project that I'm not quite at liberty to talk about yet. But yeah, it's I'm looking forward to it. Like Souther, I know you're kind of where the I don't like doing Zoom classes hat. I actually kind of like them. I miss a little bit of that spotlight that I used to have when I was like standing behind the bar 5 or 6 days a week. And it's nice to be able to like go up there and get the best part of that job, which is, you know, making drinks for people who are dialed in and like yakking at them about things that I'm really passionate about. And at the end of the day, the only place I have to clean up is my apartment, which is like meditation for me anyway, because I never have the patience to actually sit down and listen to a guided meditation app for 10 minutes. So, you know, it's as close as I ever come to being like fully emotionally and mentally zen. It's nice. I like it. I'm gonna be holly jolly Christmas here. You guys can Scrooge it up if you want, but this is my chance to be like, I like side hustle season. I'm gonna say bring it on.
I've flipped my coin on the Zoom bit though. You know, I have that ongoing class with Gush called The Bitter's Truth, where we make bitters with 40 or 50 people that are in the class. It's pretty rad, but it's only once a month. I don't have to think about it, too much. Back when we were having to do Zoom classes, when I just don't like when I have to do something.
Yeah,
I did 42 Zoom classes during the pandemic because that's how I had to survive.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would say that the true mark of success isn't being able to do whatever the hell you want to do. It's being able to say no to the things you don't want to do. That's
Indeed,
that's the mark for me. But we all got kind of forced into that corner and into the kind of like Zoom party. But I agree with what you're saying now, because I kind of miss it now. I kind of miss that kind of strangeness of that era, like where it was. But it's it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, we're all just alone in our little pods, and like there's also something weird about like you create this convivial bar-like atmosphere, and at the end of the day you're like, okay, thanks very much, and you click like leave meeting, and then all of a sudden you're just alone in your own apartment and like a little tipsy, and you're like, whoa, this is weird. It's like being on a roller coaster that just suddenly screeches to a halt.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about the fact that like it's weird when you look back after the Zoom meeting and you realize you just had a bunch of cheekies by yourself. Like you didn't clink copitas with anyone, and somehow there's like a half bottle of mezcal missing, and you were doing a class on the Bloody Mary, and anyway.
That's it right there.
Who did that?
What happened?
All of us.
I don't know. We all deserve the right to like get a little basic and get a little drunk every now and again. And speaking of getting basic, Souther, who do we have in the studio with us today?
Man, we got our good buddy Jay Zimmerman, who owns Basik and Second Son right here in Brooklyn, and we're stoked to have you back on the show with us, Jay. Welcome to the virtual studio. No pizza for you this time, buddy.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. I know I should have brought my own pizza. BYOP.
Maybe one of these times we'll get pizza delivered to all of us at the same time, and we can be in the virtual studio. We can have our cheekies and our pizza alone together.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. Roberta's does. They do frozen pizzas. Yeah, so they can ship it cross country for me.
Yeah,
great.
All right, we'll line that up for next time. Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get into it, man. It's nice having you back on the show. And dude, you've got some kind of big news. I mean, like, it's my favorite number, and my favorite number 11. You just hit your 11th anniversary with Basik. Is that correct?
Yeah, man. Yeah, we just on November 18th, we hit 11 years here, and like it kind of feels like 100 years, and 1 year all at the same time. But it's been quite a run, man. We survived the pandemic, and I know you guys were kind of gabbing about Zoom classes and stuff beforehand, and we got through that phase and are back to pretty much normal business, which is great.
Awesome. That's great to hear, man.
Yeah.
So what did you do for your 11th anniversary party? Did you get to like actually have a celebration after a couple of years of not necessarily being able to?
Yeah, man. I mean, we kind of, I was a bit lazy with it, if I'm being honest, but I threw together a party and had an old friend of ours come by and I want to say spin records, but kind of play music on, from their library on an iPad. And, a lot of good old regulars who don't even live in New York anymore made the effort to come by and toast with us, which was really nice. So it ended up being like a full room for the entire night. I stayed up way later than I'm used to staying up these days and, paid for it, but it was fun. Had a great time.
Nice. We're all none of us 23 anymore, though we continue to drink like it.
That's true. I drink better. At least I know what to drink now and how to, but it still seems to sneak up on me from time to time.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I've learned nothing. So you had a big party. I'm sorry I couldn't make it. I don't remember what day of the week it was, but I had to work, so I couldn't make it out there. But I think some of the bigger news is that Liquor.com released their first. I guess they're going to do it annually. Sort of. What do they call it? The Liquor.com Awards, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Basik took Best Neighborhood Bar in America. That's pretty fucking incredible. And I think that's a testament to why people might travel from out of state or out of city to come to your birthday party because you're so beloved.
Yeah, man, that was it's quite the thing. It's hard for me to really still wrap my head around. I know it's been a few months since this happened, but it's quite the feather in the cap, and it felt really nice to get a bit of recognition after over a decade of truly hard work. And it's as you guys know, not easy. It's never been easy, and at times it's more difficult than others. So if someone goes out of their way to say, "Hey, like you've done a good job," that feels nice, and it feels also, it feels good that this category, the best neighborhood bar, which seems to have, given, new life in recent years, or this kind of thought of not necessarily a high-end cocktail bar, not necessarily a dive bar, but somewhere you can kind of spend a lot of time comfortably and, more than once a week, has kind of burgeoned into this entire category. And it feels nice to be recognized in that way.
Yeah. How do you imagine, because Amore Margot and the bars that I run don't really have that, you said twice a week. Like my bars don't generate that kind of regular. I have plenty of regulars, but they don't come more than once a week, How do you cultivate that sort of atmosphere, and how do you kind of keep it going? Because, I know people who post up at your bar at specific times on specific days because that's just where they're expected to be.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is location, I think. Just where we are in Brooklyn, it's a bit more, residential and neighborhoody, and there's maybe not as many options as East Village for sure. So, people find a place they like and find a place that's comfortable. We try and keep the room comfortable and safe for everyone is a big thing, and clean and, good music, good lighting. So you're not really committing to one thing or another. If you're going to Basik, you can be sure that there will be a friendly bartender and likely a friendly face or two sitting at the bar with you, which is always a good thing to bet on.
Well, we were just talking about that whole, 2-year period where we're mostly just seeing people through our computer screens. But on the occasions when I would reach out and branch out and brave sitting in a backyard, within close proximity of another human being, shocker of shockers, Basik was one of my favorite spots to go because y'all had that good backyard there that had some open space, and it didn't feel as if you'd had to cram a square peg of what it was into a round hole. It still very much felt like, okay, this is still the same Basik experience that I remember. Mm-hmm. And that was not a pivot that a lot of people were able to make, which I think is kind of a testament to what y'all have built over there.
Yeah. I mean, yes. It could also mean we were just always built for, the world not operating in the way it's supposed to. But no, man, we did a lot of things and those early couple weeks when we were first reopening, we could only serve outside. We were very fortunate to have the outdoor space, and have people who wanted to sit out and get back out there. I also managed to keep a shift the entire time during the pandemic, and serve all of my regulars and friends, which was kind of a unique experience, but still super fun. Not exactly teaching classes, but it was all on Zoom. And I always work Monday nights. I've worked Monday nights here.
Mondays.
Yeah, we call it Mondays, which is a cheeky, silly way to get people to remember that I work on Mondays. But
I don't get it. It's too clever. It's going over my head. You'll have to explain to me after the
Benson.
show.
It works.
I'll explain it to you later, buddy.
Any day of the week, really, Benson. So I keep my Mondays, and it became really evident to me early on in the pandemic. We closed in March 16th, and by April, May, you kept hearing from people how much they miss just kind of socializing and being around other people and, not just sitting in their apartment. So I decided to set up a Zoom call every Monday night from 8 p.m. till midnight or so. And I just started inviting all of my regulars. And then that kind of expanded out to friends from around the country, around the world. And I kept my Monday shift, and I kept a way for people to kind of socialize and talk with other people and keep that banter going. And, it was super fun. And a lot of people made friends out of that they would have never, ever met. It ended up being around 25 or 35 people every week, just kind of hanging around. And I've kept trying to drive conversation, but it was a lot of fun, and then we, had a couple drinks, during those sessions. So eventually, I was doing this in my kitchen initially, and then my wife was very polite, but said, as much fun as it is listening to you get drunk with your friends once a week for a few hours, maybe you could take it down to the bar. So I ended up just coming and opening the bar and sitting in here by myself and bartending for all intents and purposes
which is convenient because you basically live upstairs, right?
Yeah, I live right next door, which is great.
Yeah, so easy enough for you to come down and do that and get out of her hair.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's incredible, and that's surely if you had people who are chiming in from not even here in the city, that has to be a way that you pierced into the world of best neighborhood bar. You were suddenly the neighborhood bar for everybody.
Yeah, in a way, and that was never the design, but it kind of morphed into that, and it felt really comfortable, and which is wonderful now because now that we're back in operating normally, I'll have bartender friends from wherever, it's Austin, Texas, or San Francisco, or Seattle. Who are on some of those Monday calls, and they'll saunter in to have a drink when they're in town, and they'll see regulars that have nothing to do with the bar industry, but are there to have a drink and kind of, have a conversation. Oh, we met online and it's great to see you, blah, blah, blah. So it's great. So they've expanded this network of people through this bar, which really feels like a nice thing.
There's got to be like a dating app idea in there somewhere, right?
Yeah, I should host a reality show about virtual dating at a bar.
Yeah, we met from afar. That's yeah. I listen. I think this is brilliant, and the thing is, I think the brilliance of it is its lack of contrivity. You didn't contrive this. You didn't set out to make that happen. I just think it's your nature to be a friendly person and welcoming into your space, and to open it up in that way during that time. Certainly, I think shed some, maybe notoriety on you from a thing like liquor.com or whatever. Do you know how you got looped into all of that?
No, man. Honestly, I have no idea. And I thought that I was just, having a joke played on me. Mike, our buddy Alexis Doctolero, who works for liquor.com, reached out and said, and told me that, hey, you're a finalist for this award. We're putting together this award show. Just wanted to put it on your radar. And I was like, yeah, sure. Okay. I don't say I didn't believe her. It was just so far beyond the realm of possibility for me. You guys are a little bit more practiced with being in those worlds. And so it was a new thing for me. And then eventually, a couple weeks before the awards, the winners came out, they reached out and said, "Hey, you won," and I patently didn't believe them. I said, "This can't really be an actual thing," and it was. It turned out to be very, very real, and feel very fortunate and very grateful for whoever voted for us. So if you're out there, thanks.
Well, and then I got to see you. They held the awards ceremony. It wasn't even really an awards ceremony. I expected to go into the thing and have like a time when they were like, and the winners are, but it was just 3 floors at oh gosh, why am I forgetting that? Crown Shy and Overstory, and just bars. And your bar was one of them. And Happy Accidents came up from Albuquerque, and I don't even remember all the bars that were Dale DeGroff was up on the top floor doing a redo of the Rainbow Room, and It was a really, really fun event, and luckily it was held right here in New York, so we got to go.
Yeah, so they kind of a funny story. Damon, you'll appreciate this, but when they reached out to us about this award, presentation essentially, so you're presenting your bar amongst the other winners, we're setting up next to some really heavy hitting cocktail destinations in the United States, Cafe La Trova, PCH, Halo out in Portland, Happy Accidents, Katana Kitten. And they asked us what we wanted to serve. And so I tried to stay as true to Basik as we possibly could. And so we served one of our cocktails, and then I requested that we serve shots of Tapatio and High Life ponies.
There you go.
They were totally into it. And, you walk around the party and everyone's sipping and trying a different cocktail, but seemingly everyone also had a bottle of beer and a little tequila with them throughout the night.
That's great.
Oh, I can second that. Everyone had a cocktail in one hand and a pony in the other. You guys were not to be missed.
I just feel like if I'm at a party like that, I kind of just want a cold beer sometimes,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great, man. Well, I want to talk a little bit about Second Son too, because we can be remiss to not mention that. I know that this got this awesome accolade for Basik, but Second Son, man, it must have been equally popular there in Queens. Like, you actually have like a pretty decent outdoor area at Second Son as well, right?
Yeah, we have a nice backyard there with this big kind of I don't want to say iconic, but very noticeable giant neon sign that says Queens, which is very kind of an Instagrammable moment back there. And Second Son's been open, 8 years also already.
Jesus,
it's wild.
Wow,
that is crazy.
So yeah, these
time is fucking meaningless, guys.
But Second Son's doing great. And Astoria, it's in Queens actually. It's a very different neighborhood than Williamsburg, and we have a bit more of a kitchen and servers and the whole thing. And it's a bit more of a restaurant feel, but it's still kicking along.
Yeah, thanks, man. That's great to hear. I remember meeting up with you and a bunch of other people at like Pete's or somewhere in the Union Square area to talk about Second Son. I was going to jump on the team to open it up, but then I decided to open up Grand Army.
Yeah, I know. I remember it was a big coup for me. I had this whole roster of people. I was like, no way, these people would ever pull a shift out in Queens, but everyone sort of agreed. And we got as far as a quote unquote staff meeting over a couple Guinnesses at Pete's, which the afternoon was worth it in and of itself. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And like, how did that work out? I mean, obviously like Basik, there's some like small bar food, but were you guys doing like a lot of like to-go food from Second Son during the pandemic?
We a little bit. It's just not really in our DNA, I don't think. If you think what really is our makeup is, experience and how a room makes you feel. So, I've never been keen on, the tape just kind of ticking with seamless orders or people coming in with their backpacks to pick up whatever. Not that, I'm not going to yuck anyone's yum there, but it's just not really for us. And, we just were anxious to survive and get people back within those four walls.
Did you just say yuck anyone's yum?
Yeah, he
did. Okay.
Is that not an accepted term?
I've just never heard it before, and I love that.
Oh, you guys never heard that before? I love that. I haven't heard it. It was very charming. It's like hearing like one of your grandfather's old beloved phrases from like the 1940s. I was just like, wow, that's been a minute.
Yeah.
Give me 5 B's for a quarter.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to yuck anybody's yum here, but we should probably take a break to hear from some of our sponsors. But Jay, there's a lot of other stuff we want to talk to you about, including balancing bartending and parenthood. But that's going to be coming up after these brief messages. So stay tuned to the Speakeasy here on Heritage Radio Network. Cheers.
You've heard us talk about the Diageo Bar Academy on the show for quite some time now. And what's really cool about it is it's all free. You can go to the website and check out all these great things. There's all these master classes and e-learning. The cool thing is a lot of these classes actually take less than like 30 minutes. So if you're on the subway or if you're on your break from the bar, you can go on and learn something very quickly. I mean,
yeah. I think those are the two best parts about the whole thing, that it's free and that it's on demand. And of course that it's for everybody, whether you're an experienced bartender looking for new inspirations and trends, or you're just starting out, or even if you're just an enthusiast. You don't even have to work in the field. Just get on there and get all this education. Like life's all about being educated, right, Greg?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the one thing that we say a lot on this show is that, if you're at a point where you feel like you've stopped learning, then, you're dried up, you're tapped out. It's time to go. It's time to find another room to be in. But, why would you, with so much great stuff on Diageo Bar Academy to learn about? I feel like every time I go there, there's something that I discover that I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't even know that this existed. Whether that's, a new way of measuring out your pours, or whether that is their virtual bar, which they also have, which is just wild to me that we're, I never see myself as a metaverse guy, but I don't know. Maybe I learned something new about myself today.
We live in the future.
Well, also, we should mention this too, that, cocktails are constantly changing. We're also learning modern things while we're learning more about the past as well. We're constantly digging deeper, researching more. So what you thought you might know about the Sazerac, for instance, there's new information out there pretty often. So always be learning, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
ABL, always be learning. And where to do that is DiageoBarAcademy.com. That's DIAGEO baracademy.com. Go get it. It's free and it's on demand.
And we are back. You're listening to The Speakeasy on Heritage Radio Network. And in the studio today, our good buddy Jay Zimmerman. We were talking about Basik, and we were talking about Second Son. And speaking of, like having your hands full with 2 bars during a pandemic and then winning this award, I mean, like you've got your hands full with your parenthood too. How does that work out, man?
Well, I mean, it's a magnificent life experience. And I'm very, very grateful that it's happened at all. After a lot of trying and lots of years of heartache. My wife and I were able to adopt a baby girl this July. She was born July 1st. So she's about 5 months now. And so like balancing all the nightlife and, taking care of her throughout the day. My wife also, she's a school teacher and she works full time. So it's kind of like daddy daycare during the day. And then she comes home and takes care of her. And I try and get as much done at the bar as I can. But it's been, it's been pretty good. I think very fortunately, because of the age of the bars and they have this life that, they kind of breathe on their own. It gives me the space to not have to be here every moment of every day and can kind of manage a lot of it from home and watch her at the same time, which is really nice. I will say, like on Monday nights when I work, it's nice to have a couple hours by myself or, to just be a robot behind the bar and do my thing. But Tuesday mornings have become a bit more difficult.
Sure.
Well, again, you've got kind of the platonic ideal of the setup, that we've all envisioned in our minds. You've got your family, you live basically right upstairs from the bar. Like that's gotta help a lot.
It does. And, you got to have this massive support system, no matter how well prepared you think you are. The "it takes a village" thing is a very, very real concept. And we have, a really amazing, I don't want to say babysitter. She's more of a friend of ours that watches my daughter a couple times a week just for a few hours so I can steal away and do some admin stuff at the bar and what have you. And her name is Julia, and she does a great job. And my daughter really loves her a lot, which is wonderful. And that gives you space to breathe also. And then, friends coming by and helping or just visiting Joanne when she's home alone with the baby and stuff like that. So, it takes more than just the two of you.
Yeah, sure. And I can imagine that, like, as you said, there was some difficulty getting to where you wanted to be with that. But at the same time, it seems like the timing was probably pretty good. Probably would have been a little bit more difficult to have a brand new baby 5 to 7 years ago when the bar was maybe still kind of struggling and you had to be there a lot more, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine that things happen for a reason and they come in and out. The experiences come in and out of your life when they're supposed to. So, I don't look a gift horse in the mouth. I just really am very grateful for the moment we have now. And I also have no idea what, life's going to look like in 6 months or a week or, 5 years from now. So just kind of doing the best we can. And, but I think, having the bars be where they are in their life cycle was very, very helpful. And having people like Russell, who've been with us for 10 years and able to handle a lot of stuff if I needed to step away for a moment was great, And I took a month away this summer to go to meet her essentially when my daughter was born. So, that was really helpful to have everyone kind of pick up a little bit of slack where I had to drop it and I didn't have to worry very much about it.
That alone's incredible as well. Who'd have thought 10 years ago that Russell Dillon would be a guy you could rely on?
Yeah. I had a gut feeling and that's, he's taught me to be a gambling man, but it's down in our favor.
He's taught me how to lose at gambling. That's what he's taught me. He's taught me the envy you feel when you see someone else buy things with your money.
Yeah. I mean, by and large, you have to get really lucky with staffing in bars. And and I love our team, and we've had very, very little turnover in the decade plus here. Russ being the most notable, being here for 10 years, and sometimes just strike it rich. You just you find gold. So
sure,
we're very, very fortunate that way.
Do you find the same level of attrition at Second Son, or is this just lightning in a bottle?
It's different because of the size. So just in the sheer number of people it takes to run that place, it's a bit harder to have steady Eddie people. But we've had people that put in 4, 5, 6 years there, and I hope that that's a testament to who I and my business partner Derek are to work for. But in the end, you got to create an environment that is productive for everybody, yourself included, and making sure that people have the ability to make a good living, but not hate wanting to come to work.
Right. Yeah. If it's going to be something you got to do, it may as well be. Yeah. If it's going to be something you've got to do, it may as well be enjoyable, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a real thing, though. You'll have people you speak to in this industry, specifically bartenders. I feel like managers to a different degree, but that have jobs that really stuff their pockets full, and they just can't stand going to work. It's just not a fun experience, and I don't think that's desirable for anybody.
Yeah, nobody likes a golden cage, man. I've definitely worked in those spots where it's like, man, I can make like $70K a year working in this one bar 3 days a week, but I just dread those 3 days so much. And your quality of life goes up so much if like maybe you take a little bit of a pay cut, but you actually like enjoy the process of doing this thing. Because I mean, none of us would choose this life that is purposely more difficult than other paths if there wasn't some part of it that we loved. And I think it's important not to lose sight of that,
Yeah. And I hope that Basik specifically is just a room that you can kind of let that part of yourself flourish, I remember a specific situation where we had a friend come and guest bartend with us one night and he worked at, a golden cage is a really great way to put it. I love that. I'm going to hold on to that. But he worked at this very busy part of the city, and he came, and we were kind of, shaking up drinks and having a fun night. And around like midnight or so, he kind of looked over to me and was like, "Hey, when do all the assholes come in and we like do this thing?" And I'm like, "Nah, man, it just doesn't really happen here. That's just not what we've cultivated." And he's like, "Oh my God, this is fantastic."
Yeah.
I like everyone I'm talking to. I was like, "Yeah, it can be like that all the time." It was a nice compliment in its own way.
Do you think you could, and I'm betting the answer is no, but do you think you could sum up in some short words how you've created that atmosphere? Because I think that is a shock for a lot of bartenders that they don't have to be combative. They don't have to like put on their armor to go to work in every situation.
The only way I could sum it up, it's kind of the way I describe the design of the bar too, is I essentially just built a bar I wanted to go to. There was no kind of greedy thoughts behind it, and I wanted to make as much money as possible, obviously, but it wasn't about this being this golden calf. We just wanted it to be a comfortable, good spot, and hope that that feeling would breed income. I just wanted it to be somewhere where I felt comfortable going, and I guess that was good enough for people to want to come also.
Yeah, it is a great bar, and you do walk in and you feel like, all right, yeah, this is a place I can hang for quite a while. It's got an airy feel, even though it isn't particularly large. It's got that backyard that's amazing, and then of course, I think what really drives it home, and for any quote unquote neighborhood bar, and again, you are now the best neighborhood bar in America, is the personalities that are behind the bar, and everybody behind that bar is very kind.
Yeah, man, thank you for saying that. It's true. I mean, if you take the people out from behind the bar, it's just four walls, right? And a great lesson I learned very early on in my hospitality career from a GM of a hotel I was working for was that our whiskey tastes the same as the whiskey down the street, and they're coming from the same bottles and same distilleries, but how you serve it and how you handle your guests is really what makes the experience. So I try and take that part.
I think another thing about Basik, I got to see it while it was under construction, which I always love to be able to do that. If I have a friend who's opening up a new spot, and I like to see like the process, because I don't know, it's exciting as someone who has done it myself, but also like, restored classic cars and things like that. I like to see the process. And what I realized is that door never closed. The front door is always open. And it's like, that to me is a really important part of a great like neighborhood bar or welcoming bar. Is like even when it's, the middle of winter and the door is actually closed, it's like, it still feels like it's open, it's always open.
Yeah.
And that's,
it's kind of been to borrow a term from a great bar in Albuquerque. A happy accident was that the wells, these windows that look out onto the street. So, it's hard for me to have a conversation with someone without constantly waving at a neighborhood fixture walking by.
Yeah, I think that's a real linchpin to your situation too, is just this, the look of the space and that wide open window. And you're right. Every time I walk by, I glance in, and if there's anybody that waves at me, I typically, may as well walk in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got time for
and
one.
We have a fair amount of neighborhood people who go out of their way to walk on the other side of the street, so they don't feel tempted to come in.
Yeah, I think I would have to say that, admittedly, I've done that before, because I know if I walk over there, I'm gonna. There goes my afternoon, and maybe some of my money if Russell's working. Well, listen, speaking of giving Russell my money, one of the things you listed you wanted to talk about today was the art of gift giving and how it applies to hospitality. You want to get into that a little bit? I'm curious, especially given that it's now that time of year.
Yeah, man. I mean, I figured it was just kind of appropriate given, that we're staring down holiday season. And we could talk about that. It's like I have two superpowers in this world. And, one of them is gift giving. It's just like my favorite thing to do. And I think it really applies to being hospitable in so much as I think gift giving is just an extension of listening, right? And like having conversations with people and like picking up on something that they will maybe hint at and remembering that or writing it down and then kind of presenting them with something that has to do with that, for an occasion. And that's hospitality in its purest sense, right? It's just taking someone's wants or needs and giving it to them in a way that whether it benefits you or not. So yeah, this is like the season to do it. Yeah, I love helping people figure out gifts for their significant others, or I love, my wife gets really upset at how much money I will waste, as she would say, on Christmas gifts, but it's like, it makes me happy. It makes me as happy as it makes her, So I love this season for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, I would point out, we talked about it off air, but the headphones that I'm wearing right now, you gave to me for Christmas, I guess 3 years ago now, and I still use them every week for the show.
I love it.
Yeah, I stopped in. I think it was when I was doing the holiday situation, the holiday market at Union Square, which I ended up really regretting. But I would stop in every night because it was my first opportunity to go to the bathroom. I had no bathroom breaks for my 8 to 10 hour days out there, and you were like, "Hey, I got these Beats by Dre. Would you use these?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely."
So after you bombed his bathroom after being at work all day,
it was usually just having to pee, Damon.
He gave you a gift?
I mean, I would always come in and get a beer and a tequila, and I'd hang for a minute.
I was unfortunately
cruise by and go to the bathroom. I didn't just cruise by and wreck the bathroom.
You wouldn't be the first.
Those windows do come with a drawback.
Yeah, you can see the bathroom. Yeah,
that's true. Well, speaking of, what are some of your holiday? What's the Jay Zimmerman holiday gift guide for 2022?
Oh man, it's a personal thing, Damon. So like, it really depends on who it's for, And I don't think gifts need to be elaborate. I think they can be, very, very simple. They can be experiences. They can run the gamut, And I think if your intention is purely to uplift someone and to kind of make their day a bit, then it really doesn't matter what you're giving them.
I mean, I'm all about gift cards. Just everyone gets gift cards. It's actually no, I couldn't do that, man. Gift cards are like they're kind of like the bless your heart of gifts.
Yeah.
It's like you gave me a gift, but it's kind of like a huge fuck you. Like,
you know what?
Though, like, here, I got you some money, but it's less useful than regular money. Yeah. So here you go.
I want to tell you exactly where to spend that money. I will come to the defense of the gift card. Since we've had a child, my wife and I have been, people have been very, very generous in giving us things for her, and the gift card has its place, man. I mean, you can only have so much shit in a little New York City apartment. So if someone gives you a piece of plastic that says, "Hey, get what you want when you want it," That's
Yeah,
very,
true.
very helpful. Very, very helpful.
Yeah, I've always thought they were useful in the like Home Depot way. If you've got a friend who's, I don't know, building something or making something or works in that kind of world, you don't know exactly what to get them, but you know they're probably going to want to get it at Home Depot or something.
That's true. That's true.
You know, I don't know what drill to buy you, but here's enough money. Go get yourself a drill.
So I guess I shouldn't send you the Sam Ash gift card for Christmas.
I'll take it.
You seem like you need a new guitar, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. The background of your studio with 20 plus guitars in it, you're looking low.
Yeah, well,
you're running low
times are
on
tough,
guitars.
Got to tighten those belts.
Yeah. Well, you know, but you did touch on something. Like my thing is, as far as the holiday season goes, and like birthdays, and anytime that there's some sort of gift exchange going on, like I prefer an experience. Like it's one thing for like you said, Jay. Whether it's a gift or an experience, I go for the experience. And for me, I just want to have time with my friends.
Yep.
That's something that you can't really create or gift any other way than just actually being there for it. And so I think that's probably the most important thing to me during the holiday season is like, you know what? It's like, I could give you this gift card to Keen's, or I could just take you there for lunch.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. If you had the time, which, obviously we don't have enough of, but that to me, that's what makes it more important and makes it more special when you actually do take the time. So I appreciate you taking the time to be here on the show today, as busy as you are.
Oh, thanks, man. What's more fleeting than our time, right? And you're
Exactly.
right. Spend it with your friends while you can. I miss spending time with you now that you're out on the West Coast.
Same. Speaking of dropping off the subway, I most days whenever we would be coming back from doing the speakeasy out of Roberta's, I'd take the L train to the F or G or wherever I was going, but I'd often stop and get out and go to Basik and just pop in and see you guys. And that was like the second best part of my day, right, guys? Because like the first.
Right. Good save.
No, but I think honestly, it'd be like my first stop after the speakeasy. I would pop out, see you guys, and then just start walking down Metropolitan and say hi to some other buddies down the road and have a great day. And
Totally.
yeah,
Totally.
just a good way to spend time. Just going to the best neighborhood bar in the country.
Yeah.
Thank you. Scream it from the mountaintops. I appreciate it.
I mean, I feel pretty fortunate that we have it right here in New York. I don't know. I'm greedy in that way. I love that we have so many bars that are of such high accolades here in the city. I don't think I'm ever going to tire of trying to go to see them all. So really, really stoked for you and your team. Super well deserved. And like, I don't know, I think I said it earlier, your team is just so kind. I think that really makes a difference for a neighborhood bar. Everybody's very welcoming and smiley, and they draw you in with their kindness.
Yeah, thank you, man. And if you do like Basik or you like another bar in your hometown, go to it. Go to it and go to it frequently, because the not rose-colored rainbows and butterflies vision of the bar world is you never know how long these places are going to last for whatever reason. So they won't be there forever. So get while the getting's good.
True. If you have a local, support your local.
Yeah,
that's the deal. Well, Jay, thanks so much for being with us on this episode of the Speakeasy and spending some time with us and talking to us. Really, again, congratulations on the award from liquor.com for being the best neighborhood bar 2022, Basik in Brooklyn. And that's it for this episode of the Speakeasy. Tune into Heritage Radio Network for many more shows just like this one. Click on the beating heart to donate and keep this show and many others on air. Cheers, everybody. Thanks so much.
Cheers.
Cheers,
Thanks,
guys.
So you don't charm the devil with your rock.
The Speakeasy is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network. Food and drink radio supported by you. Keep in touch at heritageradionetwork.org/subscribe.
It's gonna get you some.